Well, I am so excited to have back on the podcast Ron Deal. Ron has many books, and today we're going to talk about the newest book, The Mindful Marriage: Create Your Best Relationship Through Understanding and Managing not your spouse, but yourself. And what's so amazing about this particular interview is we also get to be joined by his better half, his wife, Nan. So thank you both so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
So people may be familiar with Ron because of Family Life Blended, because of the step family ministry that you have had for so long. And I think sometimes people think, oh, you're in ministry, you've written books. That must mean you have no problems at all. That must mean you have nothing. You
Let's
must
set
be
the record straight right
thumbs
now.
up.
Arlene, I'm sure would confess the same thing.
Yes,
That is not
it's
true.
true.
We're just
It's
regular people, and we wrestle with things in life just like everybody else.
Yeah. And you begin the book by telling us that there, was a point in your marriage where communication was just not happening. And even though you loved the Lord, you loved each other, you were doing the right things, you were not unfaithful to one another, but your marriage was coming apart. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Can you bring us back to where you were, either one of you?
When you were saying that, I was thinking, what was happening in that moment? I mean, we had 3 boys. Ron was cranking it out. We had just moved to a new town. And so I'm settling in, trying to get my boys settled. They're preteen. And I'm then going to jump in and, start teaching again. And I'm just trying to get home and boys and, everything settled. And
Totally.
I think we just were doing the same dance that was not working and hadn't been working for decades. And
Wow.
when you have kids that are about to be preteen, especially boys who need their dads, and then you're in a new town trying to find new everything, and you've left and uprooted from a place where we had been 11 years. That was some deep roots and lots of security there. And we were far away from family. I mean, to drive to get to anybody was a long ways away. I think really it was a catalyst for the wheels to fall off anyway, honestly.
Yes.
But we had already brought that stuff with us in that move. We kept doing the same dance.
Yeah.
Tell us about that dance. Yeah. What is that dance that you
So-
kept doing in the background?
What you said at the beginning, I wanted him fixed. That's right. I wanted to fix him. So I wanted to fix him with lots of loud words and lots of control and lots of blame. And I wanted to control the situation and say, please stop doing what you're doing. And then I'd be happy, to be perfectly honest.
And
Totally.
what was it that she wanted me to stop doing? I mean, this is a two-way street. Let me just say, as you said, Arlene, it's important to say, neither one of us had a moral failure, or committed affair, betrayal, or anything. We're like a lot of couples who have a lot of great in their relationship. And when we're happy, we're happy. And when we're good, we're good. We're loving. We have deep heart for one another. We served each other. We loved our boys. We were highly engaged parents in our kids' lives at that time. This is 17 years ago when all this hit. Yeah. And yet the hard things we did not know how to navigate through. We got stuck. When either one of us got dysregulated, the other one got dysregulated, and then we were at odds. And then we would sort of meander our way around this argument for a couple of weeks, trying to figure out how to get through it. And at the end of the day, even with the best will and the best intentions, we really didn't resolve it. And so it just sort of hung out there, and we'd find our way back into life and being okay, so to speak, and working and going forward. And you do that for 20 years. And then, as Nan said, remove a hometown and people that loved us and a support system, and jump into this new role, new job, a lot of unknowns and a lot of stress, and bam, it all came to a head.
And, a lot of ruptures in communication, or ruptures in, expectations, and no repair.
Yes.
And I heard last week on a podcast, to the life of me, I can't remember it right now, but maybe I can find it in my brain. You know how that goes. But when you have ruptures, Ruptures don't ruin the relationship. It's the lack of repair. That was a quote I heard last week, and I'll try to figure
Yes.
out who.
Yeah.
But lots of ruptures, and then we do those flybys where we, I don't think I want to land there. We'll just
Yeah.
keep doing the status
Let's
quo.
just keep going.
Maybe I'll go over here and deal with the boys, or
Yeah.
maybe I'll go over here and deal with work, and there was never any repair. So it just left us with not much.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into like what does it mean to be dysregulated, because I want to go there, give us, like, in the beginning of the book, you give us an example that I think really helps us where you're going back and forth, where Ron has asked you on a date, and just kind of talk us through that, because I think it helps us to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. What's so great about this illustration is that it's every couple's experience. You have fabulous moments, you get along great, and then all of a sudden something turns, and then you're not. Like, what is the turn, and why does that happen? For us, the story we tell is I asked her out on a date one night, and keep in mind, this was in the context of a season of our life where I was very obsessed with earning a paycheck from my home. We had moved to a city, and I was a freelance marriage and family educator, therapist. If I didn't speak, we didn't eat. I was trying to figure out how to keep the lights on, which meant I was in my head a lot. And by the way, I was always in my head even before then. So now it was even worse. And so that tapped into something in her heart and life that goes way back. And that is people who are unavailable to her when she needs them. And so that was me. I was unavailable. So when I asked her out on a date, she's like, yes, he's thinking of me. He's interested. Okay, we're going to go and do this. And I'm thinking, how do we make this date fantastic? And I'm feeling so relieved. She said, yes, we're going to enjoy ourselves. And then I think, what would make it even better? I think, she loves being with friends sometimes too. So I said, what if we ask somebody else to go with us? Well, that sent a message of, no, I'm not interested in being with you. I'm interested in being with others. This is not about us. This is about something else. And that tapped disappointment in her. And all of a sudden she's feeling unwanted. And now I'm going, well, wait, no, that's not. And now we're fighting. Like, so you go from 100% good to 100% bad in a nanosecond. And I really think that's a very common thing for a lot of people, sometimes regularly and sometimes just sporadically, but we know what that's like. I think most people do.
When later I want to go back to that same situation of knowing what you know now, how you would have handled it.
Good.
Explain, like being dysregulated. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, you know the brain science because we've actually talked about this in your work with screen kids and what parents need to know about children. And so dysregulation is anytime that you feel unsafe or you feel like there's a challenge to your sense of identity and being loved. Those are the two principal things that trigger this. What's happening neurologically when we're dysregulated is that the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that does all the thinking and pondering and considering and deciding and choosing, and by the way, the part of us that knows God's will and wants to live it, that's where that comes from, that part of the brain that really understands truth and wants to move toward that. But when we feel upset about something, unloved or unsafe, there's another part of the brain that kicks in. That's the limbic system, sometimes called the amygdala or the midbrain. And it only knows how to do one thing, and that's to self-protect and preserve life, preserve itself. And it kicks in saying, whoa, something's threatening here. And that threat needs to be either eliminated, that's fight, or I need to get away from it, that's flight. Fight or flight's pretty much all it knows how to do. Now, this is the part of the brain that we need when the rattlesnake shows up, when the dog shows its teeth, when somebody crosses the double yellow line and heads into your lane while you're driving on the highway. This is the part of the brain we need when somebody pulls a knife in a crowded room and you're looking at him and he's looking at you. This is the I need to self-protect and preserve, fight, or flight. It's God-given. Thank you very much, Lord, for making this, because we don't have to pull a committee together and decide what to do about the guy with the knife.
Right.
We can just run.
Right.
Okay? That's it. That's what it's for. But here's the goofy thing about that part of your brain. It is activated when you feel threatened or even think you're being threatened. And so My brain doesn't know how to distinguish that from a rattlesnake from my wife's criticism. It doesn't know how to distinguish somebody pulling a knife on you and you feeling unloved or unwanted. And you will, in effect, go into the same fight or flight behavior in order to self-protect. Now, remember, here's what's crazy about this. At this point, you're going to fight or flight your way to making your spouse love you. That's dumb when you say it out loud, right? Of course, me being angry at you because you don't love me enough doesn't help you to love me. It doesn't help you to move toward
Right.
me. It makes you want to move away from me. And so we inadvertently start to undo ourselves. And when I get dysregulated, I do something that, guess what, triggers her dysregulation. And now we're both dysregulated. And this is an ugly place. This is when I said, oh, let's invite friends to go with us on the date. And she's like, oh, you don't care about me. Now she's dysregulated. And then she
And
comes
it's
at
fight
me,
or flight.
fight or flight.
Yes.
And I'm going,
Yeah.
whoa, wait a minute. I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you and now I'm counter blaming and I'm in fight or flight. And now we are anything but loving and serving and considerate of one another. That is what dysregulation at the heart of it is. Everybody on the planet does it probably multiple times a day, even if it's momentarily. The smallest of threats can move us into this space. And if you've had a fair amount of trauma or really emotional pain in your life, you can get triggered at the slightest little drop of the hat.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the 4 steps in a moment. But before we get there, I want to go back to what Nan was saying about, like, if you would only get better, this would all work out, because that's how a lot of people feel. In your book, you write, we judge ourselves far less harshly than we judge our spouse. We judge ourselves on our motives and our spouse on their actions. And boy, that is so true. Nan, how did you kind of make that switch to, oh, I guess I should look at myself instead of always looking at Ron?
A long journey and 12 steps into inventorying my pride. Literally, the Lord met me in a 12-step program. And when I got to inventory, and I really thought I'd be inventorying all of Ron's wrongs, all the harms to me. And, I had a column for all those people, and he had like multiple pages, and then it was harms by me. And I was like, oh, wow. I am a sinner in need of a savior. I have more pride than I ever thought I had. And the Lord in his kindness, though, gently walked me through that. But I really had to look at myself. And in that dysregulation, I found out I do 4 coping things that are just prideful and self-serving, truly. I mean, I like to control with words, lots of words at Ron. I like to blame him for everything. And then I go into shame of myself. And then I go into numbing. And so, and numbing can take lots of forms. My escapes are, I just like to leave the room or leave the house or leave the relationship, so to speak, just exit, because I just don't want to have to deal with it. But yes, in my dysregulation, I can go to all 4 of those coping, and it's not productive at all. And so until I dealt with my pride and could see, oh, wait a minute, those words are controlling. That's not helpful. Oh, that blame is not helpful. How about some constructive criticism or asking for what you want? But I have a lot of baggage of family of origin issues, so I didn't have any of that modeled or had none of those skills, and really no attachment. And so the Lord has had to do a lot of gracious, merciful work that he's still doing in me, because I can get triggered in a lot of areas still.
And I just want to add, there's a humbling process to this. And
Definitely.
Nan's family of origin is very different than mine.
Right.
But I had the same humbling, every day, the same humility shift effort that I have to make. Because really at the heart of your question, Arlene, is how did you find the willingness to face those parts of yourself that are really not helpful to your relationship. And it's humility,
Yeah.
because what we all want to do, the natural inclination in us is to say, well, the reason I can judge you by your actions and me by my motives is because I know I'm a good person at heart. And you, however, have just disappointed me tremendously by what you did or did not do. And so I have the right. Do you hear the entitlement? Do you hear the pride? I have the right to set you straight, to tell you what you did wrong, to criticize you, to control, to blame, shame, control, escape are the four major things that we all do to one another. I have the right. That's a posture of pride. And until I will say, dear God in heaven, I need to let that go. Would you please show me humility?
Yeah.
Then people will not make the changes. I mean, these 4 steps that we want to talk about are so important. People won't do them if you're still standing in a posture of pride.
That's for sure.
My
The
goodness.
flesh always wants what the flesh wants, but walking in the Spirit and obedience to that, it takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of
Yes.
Holy Spirit, show me, guide me, help me with love in this situation, peace and self-control in this situation. Because if left on my own, in my flesh, I am not anything like 1 Corinthians 13.
Right.
None of those. I'm the polar
Yes.
opposite.
Yes.
I really can. I got a good recollection of the record. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying?
That's right.
And so if I combat that with Holy Spirit, I need you to show me self-control. I need you to show me patience. But the flesh is always, and emotions are always leading first. I'm not saying emotions are wrong, because I've been told emotions are wrong my whole life. I believe they're God-given, but boy, can I sin with my emotions. I truly can. If
As we
left
all can.
with the flesh leading the way and not taking a step back and humbly saying, okay, I'm going to need your help here. Guide me.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 2007, when our marriage blew up, we ended up in Dr. Hargrave's office by a total act of grace by God, because he had a 6-month waiting list and there's no reason we should have gotten in, but he let us. And we started working with him. What we didn't know is that, I mean, I knew he was a highly respected marriage and family theoretician, therapist, trainer. I had read a number of his books in graduate school, and here we were living in the same city that they lived in. And so found our way to him. What I didn't know is that he was, at that time, really formulating a new approach to doing counseling and mental health called restoration therapy. And it's deeply rooted in New Testament theology, but it integrates all the modern neuroscience that we now know about how the brain works, a sense of mindfulness and being aware of yourself and how you can bring a better you to the equation, just a deep emotional attachment, all the stuff that we all are familiar with, but he's put it together in a way that's actually doable for the average person. And that treatment model is now, fast forward till today, it's used all over the world. There's so many people practicing it. This book, The Mindful Marriage, we cooperated with them to try to bring the principles to a wider audience, to just say, look, this stuff is really helpful. And so we were the beneficiaries of it. And so this book is really our testimony of how it changed us, how it's moving us forward. Even now, we're still working on us. And me, I'm more working on me. And we've seen it work in other people's lives, and we're teaching it in our Mindful Marriage Conference. So that's how we came to this. And we came by it honestly.
Yes.
We needed it.
And I will say that's why I so wanted to have you guys on, because we have so much marriage stuff coming towards us, my stuff included, that is good, but we can miss certain things. And I really felt that, wow, when you guys caught this, it really was the thing to transform the marriage and really turn things around. And I think that can help so many people. So talk us through just the 4 steps.
Okay, well, so quick perspective.
Yeah, please.
We've talked a little bit about how this dysregulation hits, and then all of a sudden my worst self comes out. This is Paul in Romans 7 saying, why do I keep on doing the things I don't want to do? Like, we all know
That
better than
flesh.
we act, especially when we mistreat one another. Well, something has triggered that. Something is coming out of me. What is that? The first thing you're going to learn to do in this book, And this is a workbookish.
It is. It's counseling in a book.
It
truly.
is. It is. Do the exercises. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
You're going to learn what that reactivity is about for you. Where does it come from? The pain in your life that sort of has now taught your brain to act a certain way when you feel threatened. Mm-hmm. When you see that rattlesnake in your spouse, you go into blame, shame, control, or escape. The 4 little mechanisms we use to do fight or flight stuff. And you'll understand why that is and what it looks like for you.
Yeah, and which one you are.
But then,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You will map out your pain cycle as an individual. So I mapped out mine, and then Ron mapped out his, and then you put your pain cycle or your ugly dance on paper together.
And boy, is that scary.
And you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see, oh, this is what I keep doing and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You actually see it.
And universally, people will go, that's us at our worst.
Oh, my goodness.
90% of the time, we're not that. But boy, when that comes out, it is ugly, and that's our worst part of us.
And I would say to your listeners and people that read the book, don't be afraid of that pain.
Mm-hmm.
Be brave and allow God to heal it, especially those of you that have a lot of trauma and a lot of past trauma and a lot of family trauma. Those cycles can be broken, but you've got to be patient with yourself and also be brave, because, some people at the conferences will come up and say, well, I didn't know I was going to have to go think about that or go deal with that. Well, until you do, then there's not healing here or here, I believe.
To your point, Arlene, what makes this material different than a lot of other marriage material that's out there? You will have the insights into your bad, if I can call it that. But even more importantly, you're going to get a plan for how to move toward the good.
Yes.
The New Testament calls this your old self versus your new self. Your old self is bitter and angry and harsh and judgmental and critical. And your new self in Christ needs to be love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, the qualities and attributes like that. But how do I put that into action in real time in my worst moment? That is the trick. Because we can all do it when we're calm and happy and we love each other. Those are good days, and kindness is easy. How do I put on kindness when I am royally ticked, or I feel threatened by you, or I don't think you love me after all? That is the self-discipline that is so challenging. So you're going to map your old. You're also going to map the new. Rooted in God's truth, rooted in an understanding of yourself that you'll develop over time that says, okay, since I'm new in Christ, I need to act better than I act. And what would it look like for me to put on kindness, for example, in the heat of the moment, in those moments when I really want to just throw daggers at you? I map that. And then the 4 steps is the tool you use in real time to actually implement that. Not just this, I've got it on paper and voila, all of a sudden I'm transformed. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
We got to overcome all those neural pathways in your brain. And so the 4 steps get you.
And let's go back. Let's go back to the date night of. So let's say that now you've asked for the date. You've said, "Hey, can we invite people?" And so using the 4 steps, Nan, what would then your brain say when he says, "Oh, we're going to invite people over too"?
Okay, I would say, "Oh, what am I feeling? I'm feeling some pain here. I'm feeling that he doesn't want to spend exclusive time with me. I'm feeling a little short-sighted here. I'm sad, maybe a little angry that he's always with people." I'd be thinking these things in my head, but I'm feeling a little discarded or abandoned here in this situation. I thought it was a date and you were moving towards me, but now you want to add people. I'm disappointed.
That's step 1, by the way. Say what your pain
say what
is.
you're feeling. What I normally would do in that is I get really angry with him and I try to control this. You always do this. You always want to be in pain. I would probably do that. And I'd probably withdraw and and I'd blame him. And then, but what's the truth?
This is step 3.
This is step 3. Well, I'd take a breath first of all. I like to breathe. I might go outside to get grounded. Seriously, I have to do that. Get some sky, get some breath. I'm going to pray. I'm going to ask Holy Spirit, calm me. You see me. show me Ron. I mean, I really am
Yes.
praying, and I'm praying out loud
Yeah.
sometimes, and I'm praying in my mind and my heart, and I may even put a hand up to him and say, "I need a minute."
Right.
And I've learned to give her the minute.
Yes.
And then I go,
Shut my mouth and
what's the
wait.
truth? He loves me. He just asked me out on a date. He just wanted to invite friends, but that's not what I want. So the truth is I can say, yes, I want to go out on that date. And I really just want to be with you because I just have been missing you all week long. Can it just be us? And maybe next week we can go with friends. But I really thank you for inviting me on this date. I feel like you see me and you love me. And can I pick the restaurant?
What a difference.
You know, the truth is he's asked me out. He has asked friends, but truth is that new Nan can say thank you.
Yeah.
She can use kind words. She can be self-controlled. She can ask for what she wants and say, I don't want to go with other people. I really want you.
Yes.
And that's what the
My
truth
goodness, this
is.
is so
And
different. So we heard
Yes.
that step 1, step 3. Ron, fill in the blanks either with how you would respond or give us those 4 steps that we could start practicing.
Okay, so let me just lay them out. Step 1 is you say out loud, here's my pain. And I'm feeling it's unloved or unsafe. For Nan, it was the word abandoned. I'm feeling abandoned. Like, whoa, he doesn't really want to be with
Yeah.
me. Unwanted, right? Step 2, here's what I normally do with this. And she
Old
said that
self,
Yes.
yes.
I would have been critical or angry, would have came in
I
harsh.
probably was.
Step 3. Now, by the way, I'm going to come back to, you got to say this stuff out loud. She was saying it to you, but in real time, she would have been saying those out loud to me.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for that. I'll come back to it. Number 3 is, but what's the truth? You go capital T truth first. That's what does God tell me is true about me? Even though if Ron's a jerk right now, what does God say is true about me? And I'm going to hold on to that. And I'm going to try to think of other truths that are true about us.
Yeah.
And about specifically that sense of abandonment. Am I really unloved? Am I really all alone? Well, no, I'm not. God's here, number 1. Number 2, that's the prayer part she was talking about.
Yeah.
Number 2, Ron does want to be
Yes.
with me. He just threw in this part about other people, but his desire is still evident. So she's grabbing that truth. And then she's saying, okay, based on that, step 4, here's what I'm going to do different. Step 2 was, I usually come at you with anger and criticism and yelling. Step 4 is, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to take agency and go, no, I'm going to ask for what I want. Let's go out, just the 2 of us, maybe friends another day. And I can do that in a way that's gentle. I don't have to lose myself and become the angry old Nan. Okay, now.
So good.
It's amazing because it's her grabbing onto her, taking charge of those emotions and the pain that's attached to it, and telling herself what to do with it. This is what's transformative about this. Saying it out loud does 2 things that are really critical. We outline these in the book, The Mindful Marriage. Number 1, it's telling her brain, whoa, you've gone offline, prefrontal cortex.
Yeah,
Come
on
back. We need you. Right? And we're going to get rooted in some biblical eternal truth, not just this moment in the process. And I'm going to turn off that limbic system that just wants to do fight or flight stuff. That's huge. The saying it out loud is activating the part of your brain that can consider and ponder and say, Lord, what would you have me to do? Until you turn that part of your brain on, you are only in your flesh. I mean, that is massive right there.
True.
The second thing it does when she says it out loud is it's signaling to me, look, Ron, you've been dealing with specks in her eye for a long time, Matthew 7, and she's been dealing with your specks. But Nan just started dealing with her log. That's what it signals to me. Oh, wow, she's doing something different here. I know what she's doing. She's trying to get a control of herself. You know what, Ron, you don't have to be in control of her right. Why don't you do the same thing? Why don't you get in touch with your log and slow yourself down for a minute and start getting humble about what you were bringing to the equation and bring a better self to the next moment. And so her doing this out loud activates new stuff in her and between us. It's a soft invitation for me to start doing the exact same thing. You get one person doing this, it changes your dance. You get 2 people doing this, it is utterly transformative.
My goodness. This is amazing. So let's say we're just beginning. Might
Mhm.
we say it out loud alone first? Because we're kind of like figuring out and then bring it to our spouse?
The answer is
Yes.
yes, but you will not get internal transformation until you start saying it out loud.
Mhm.
You just need to know it's not the same mechanism.
What I meant
It's sort
was
of
what
like,
I meant was saying out loud, but to yourself, like, "Excuse me," and, like, going to the other room and, like, practicing because you're not sure how
oh,
it's gonna
yeah, yeah,
come
yeah.
out the first time to your spouse.
Gotcha.
Yes, I totally agree with
And she
that.
used to
And
do
I
that.
used to do that. I used to go outside on my walks and do that,
Yeah.
and then come back and write it out too.
Mhm.
And then sometimes I even wrote it out and read it to him
Dude.
first because I just
Yes.
I wasn't used to that side of
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
I walked in pain for so long, and that rut was
Mm.
so
Mm.
deep.
Mhm.
And so, it takes a lot of it's like working out or learning a new skill. You've got to continue to
Yeah.
practice it and keep doing it and keep doing it
Gets
in
easier
order
and
for
easier.
it to become
Yes.
second nature.
Yeah.
And now it is. And I will tell you this past weekend, um, I was in a situation with Ron. We were there together, but I was very triggered by past pain. It was everywhere around me.
Mm.
And it really threw me in a rut of just hurt. And it was hard for me
Mm.
Mm.
to pop out. And there were parts of it and times when I was not doing my work,
Yeah.
and it got worse. And I got stuck and I kind of ruminated in the pain. And then as I had some time to reflect and think, and as I did my 4 steps, it's like I felt like I lifted out of that
Mm.
rut. But I will say for your listeners that I mean, I have a lot of baggage. I have a lot of hard past pain and trauma. Sometimes it's not easy for those of us that and none of that was modeled, none of that was given, and you're kind of starting empty
Yeah.
and you're really in a healing process. Be kind to yourself. But I do know the difference between that pain and living in that pain and being controlled by that pain and living in the
Mm.
peace. And I would rather live in the
Yeah.
peace. Even though it's hard fought for me
Yes.
now, it's worth it.
Mm. The effort, like, it
What,
takes effort, and then
It takes a lot
when
of
you
effort.
both are in it, it's
yes.
transformational, and
Yes.
even if one of you is in it, it's super helpful.
Yes.
Those who
It
Mhm.
is so awkward in the beginning to implement these 4 steps because you don't have the words. You don't have you're like,
Yeah.
what's this dumb thing I'm supposed to do?
Right.
Like, that's the way it
Yes.
feels,
Yes.
especially in the moment when you're really mad
Right.
or just totally upset and you're like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. And that's the point. At the end of the day, there's a humbling.
Mm.
Wait a minute, my job is to manage me, and I'm not managing me right now. Number 2, there's a soberness to the I got to put on self-control. See, Arlene, here's what most of us do. We spend our entire marriage waiting for the other person to finally show up the way we need them to, so I won't have to be hurt anymore. Guess what?
Wow.
That's never going to happen. I mean, Nan's a fabulous person. She's never going to do it exactly the way I think it ought to be done, so Ron doesn't ever get irritated. It just won't happen. My job is to manage my irritation when it shows up. That's my job. And unless I'm willing to take ownership of that, I will be a victim of her the rest of my life. And guess what that does? That makes me resent
Yeah.
her. How can I be kind?
Mm.
See, you see how this unravels
Totally.
everything? It totally unravels. But it's based on this assumption that you need to be and do and love and give exactly this thing that I feel like I need.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to be mad and I am entitled to being mad. No, you're
Yeah.
not. You're, as a follower of Jesus, you're entitled to do what he did when people mistreated him. He maintained his self-control the entire time.
And it's so countercultural because culture will tell you, yeah, they are totally wronging you and you're right. And you don't have to
Right.
work on a thing. But
That's
the
right.
Bible tells us, man, we have to make every effort. We have to put on humility.
Yes.
There are things that you
Yes.
have to do. Okay, we could talk for so long.
Yes, we
We're
could.
out of time. However, before we leave, and I know this is dreadful because we could talk another half hour about this. But before we leave, someone's listening and they're saying, that's nice, but you don't know the pain that we have experienced in our marriage, and we cannot get to this place. But I would submit that you do know, because just if you would share, about your son, because that is something none of us would experience. Your middle son, Connor, who was only 12 years old, got a staph infection, which any of us would say, like, okay, let's take some antibiotics and go on with our life. And he died.
Yeah, he died. He had his first symptom on a Saturday, and 10 days later, he was gone.
February 17th of 2009. So this coming February 17th will be 17 years without him.
And it was God's mercy that we ended up in Dr. Hargrave's office 2 years before this happened to Connor. We look back and we go, I don't know if we would have survived it because we were in a bad place and we would have had nothing to go to endure. But the provision was there and mercy was there, and we were able to survive. And it is the great valley of the shadow of death, and it is forever life-changing. And I would just say to somebody listening or watching that so much of what goes on in your marriage, if you're like us, and I think most people are, preceded your marriage. Like it's the stuff I brought in, it's the ruts she brought in. That's what collides most of the time. But sometimes life does hit you like a massive loss, like we've experienced. And you couldn't control that, but you still got to deal with it. Life's hard.
Yeah. This world is a fallen place.
And if we can't fall back on God's truth for us, we will not survive any of it, let alone have thriving relationships.
And even to this day, in January, we'll be celebrating 40 years. It's still not over for us. There's still hard stuff coming at us.
Right.
We do understand. I do get it, to the listeners that's saying, but you don't understand. I am dealing with betrayal here, or I'm dealing with illness, or I'm dealing with, but in our walk, we do get it. We've had baggage from the beginning and hard baggage handed to us while we're in the midst of it. And we still have issues right now with things. And, but God is faithful, and He is patient with us. I cannot tell you how patient He was in the journeying and I feel like I was a prodigal after Connor died for about a decade, with my grief and my anger and my resentment towards God for my son passing away, and poor coping for a decade. And he never left me, never left us. And yet we cling to Him now. Our usness is stronger because we both are working our side of the street. And that is a joy.
And last word, I'll just say the 4 steps apply no matter what your story is.
Right.
It is the path out. And we would just recommend it to anybody. We know what it's done for us. We've seen what it's done for others.
Just try it.
Yeah.
Or get a mentor or a counselor to help you try it. Don't go it alone.
The book
that would be my encouragement.
The book is The Mindful Marriage. And my goodness, if you read this book alone or together, you do the exercises, you find out what your pain cycle is, you start retraining your brain with these 4 steps. What a life-changing gift this will be. How can people find out more about you? And before I go there, thank you. Thank you for sharing your hearts. Thank you for sharing the story of Connor. Thank you for being vulnerable to show, like, look at this helps. Look at what it does. Like, it's just so life-giving and so helpful. How can people find out more about you, more about the book?
Well, we're involved with a number of different ministries, including Family Life. But if people will go to my personal site, rondeal.org, they can find our events. They can find links to all the other ministries that we're involved in, and how to get this book. It's available wherever books are sold.
Thank you so much for this time together. It's been so rich.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.